What if the universe is not silent but listening? What if the vast ocean of stars, long thought indifferent and cold, holds a hidden awareness? For thousands of years, humanity has gazed upward, tracing patterns in the night sky, believing it to be eternal and unchanging. Yet the sky has not always been still. At rare and fleeting moments, it has been pierced by visitors that were never meant to be here. An object arrives, dark and cold, not born of our sun. It drifts into the inner system like a whisper from beyond the boundary of human knowing. Astronomers call it interstellar, but the word feels too small. What truly enters is the presence of another star's forgotten fragment, crossing the abyss to appear in our skies. Its motion carries no memory of Earth, no allegiance to the planets that circle our sun. It is foreign, a messenger shaped in another cradle of creation. Its orbit tells us it came from far away and it will not stay long. The question presses against the edges of reason. Was this encounter pure chance, a cosmic accident written into the random dance of gravity? Or could it be something stranger? Could the very act of watching, of reaching outward with our instruments and our curiosity be the invitation, as though the universe waits for its audience before it begins to speak? A shard of another world has entered our sky. Its silence feels deliberate, its presence unsettling, and in the pause between its arrival and its departure, one haunting thought remains. Did we summon it? Under the quiet skies of Hawaii, the Atlas survey telescopes keep their nightly vigil. They are not built for beauty, they are guardians, searching for faint wanderers that might one day cross paths with Earth. Night after night, their wide eyes sweep the heavens, tracing the faintest signatures of motion. In December of 2019 and again through the early months of 2020, they caught sight of something that did not belong. At first, it was only a point of light against the background of countless others. A moving pixel shifting slowly across the sky, dim but persistent. Its discovery was almost routine. That is the nature of modern astronomy. Machines watch what human eyes cannot, flagging the anomalies for deeper study. Yet within days it became clear that this faint object was no ordinary resident of the solar system. The designation came quickly: C2020A2 Atlas. A small, icy body thought to be another comet, passing through as so many do. But calculations began to peel back its true identity. Its velocity was not bound by the sun. Its trajectory did not curve inward like the long-period comets that fall from the Oort cloud. Instead, it traced a hyperbolic path, carrying it into our neighborhood from the deep interstellar void. This revelation changed everything. It was not just a comet. It was a visitor. Astronomers soon gave it a new name, one that placed it in history alongside the few others like it. 3I, the third interstellar object ever known. First came Oumuamua in 2017, a shard of mystery that sparked debate still unresolved. Then came 2I Borisov in 2019, a true comet with the unmistakable breath of frozen gases trailing behind it. And now, 3I Atlas, arriving almost like an echo, as if the cosmos were delivering these fragments one after another, too close in time to feel like coincidence. Telescopes across the world turned toward it. Measurements of brightness revealed a small, fragile body, its light flickering as though unstable. Trajectory models confirmed its interstellar nature with precision, a speed of nearly 30 kilometers per second relative to the sun, far too fast to ever be captured. Like its predecessors, it had come from beyond and would soon return to the dark. Comparisons to asteroids and comets painted a partial picture. It seemed like a comet, yet its behavior betrayed hints of strangeness. Some estimates suggested it was already fragmenting, its structure too weak to endure the stresses of its journey. Others noted that its faintness and rapid disintegration made it almost ghost-like, as though the cosmos had allowed only the briefest glimpse before erasing the evidence. The astronomers who found it were not expecting such an arrival. Their task had been to protect Earth from known threats, not to witness an emissary from another star. Yet in the cold data, and in the flicker of pixels on a screen, they had caught something extraordinary, a messenger whose origins lay light years away, now passing silently through the reach of human instruments. And with its recognition came a familiar, unsettling awareness. This was the third. 3 times in only a handful of years the solar system had been visited by interstellar fragments. Once might be chance, twice a surprise, but 3 times begins to feel like a pattern. In the faint glow of 3I Atlas, astronomers saw more than a comet. They saw the possibility that the universe was trying to tell them something. The night sky has always been a stage for repetition. Planets wander, comets return, stars rise and set across the same familiar arcs. For centuries, astronomers built their understanding on the rhythm of the predictable. Yet in 2020, when the trajectory of 3I Atlas was traced with care, the numbers refused to bend toward familiarity. Its path was hyperbolic, sweeping in from the abyss at a speed no gravity well could restrain. It was not of the sun, and it would not remain. This revelation did more than shift equations. It broke the illusion of the solar system as a sealed world. For millennia, Earth's sky seemed to belong to the sun alone. Its comets and asteroids were thought to be loyal, drawn from the distant Oort cloud or captured in fragile orbits. But 3I Atlas revealed a deeper truth. The boundary between stars is not an impassable gulf. It is porous, alive with fragments drifting across light years, carrying within them the memory of alien suns. The scientific community felt the weight of this realization with the same mixture of awe and unease that followed the discoveries of Oumuamua and Borisov. One object could be dismissed as coincidence, 2 raised eyebrows. But 3 in only a handful of years made silence harder to defend. Something had shifted. The galaxy, once thought remote and untouchable, had begun to press against the edges of human perception. Astronomers spoke with measured voices, yet the emotional current beneath their words was unmistakable, awe at the beauty of discovery, disbelief that such encounters had become so frequent in so short a time, fear, quiet but persistent, that these messengers might hold meanings not yet grasped. The hyperbolic arc of 3I Atlas was not just a calculation, it was a declaration, a reminder that humanity does not live in a closed system, but in a web of stellar histories. Each fragment that enters our sky is a shard of another world, a piece of matter torn from its origin and cast into interstellar exile. And in this sudden sequence of arrivals, a question began to echo across observatories and research halls. Why here? Why now? Why should 3 interstellar objects appear in such rapid succession when none had ever been confirmed before? The universe had always been vast, indifferent, silent. But with each arrival it began to feel less like a void and more like a presence, as though the act of watching had summoned an answer, as though the questions humanity had not spoken aloud were being met with fragments of stars, falling one by one into the narrow field of human awareness. For science, this was a paradigm shift measured not only in data, but in wonder. The night sky was no longer simply a map of the solar system. It had become a threshold, through which the voices of other worlds had begun to arrive. The first recognition of 3I Atlas as an interstellar visitor was not the end of its mystery, but the beginning. With its discovery confirmed, telescopes across the world moved swiftly to capture every trace of data before the fragile wanderer slipped once more into the void. In astronomy, opportunity is measured in windows of time, and the window for Atlas was already closing. Unlike planets or bound comets that could be studied for years, this object carried no loyalty to the sun. Its speed and trajectory gave humanity only weeks to glimpse it before it vanished beyond reach. Spectral analysis became the first tool of inquiry. By dissecting the faint light that reflected off its surface, astronomers hoped to uncover the chemical fingerprints of its composition. The results revealed hints of water ice, carbon-bearing compounds, and volatile material that echoed the familiar signature of a comet. Yet the details carried their own peculiarities. Unlike Borisov, which displayed vigorous outgassing, Atlas showed only muted activity. Some nights it behaved like a comet, glowing faintly with the soft breath of sublimating ice. Other nights its light dimmed abruptly, as if the body itself were fragmenting or collapsing under stresses too subtle to observe directly. Reports of its brightness fluctuations stirred debate. Was it disintegrating rapidly, its fragile form unable to survive the gravitational tides of its journey through the solar system? Or was its irregular flicker the result of an oddly shaped nucleus tumbling through space, exposing first bright icy facets and then darker, carbon-rich surfaces? With so few photons reaching Earth's detectors, certainty remained out of reach. Atlas was an enigma seen in glimpses, its true nature concealed behind the limits of distance and time. The difficulties of observing it were immense. Even with some of the world's most powerful instruments, the object remained faint, often at the edge of detection. Astronomers relied on long exposures, stacking images night after night, coaxing signal from noise. Yet each passing day carried it farther away, reducing the clarity of every measurement. The universe had delivered a messenger, but it had done so with cruel brevity. Orbit simulations offered another path of insight. By tracing its trajectory backward, astronomers attempted to reconstruct its journey before it crossed into the dominion of the Sun. These models suggested a strange history. Unlike the familiar parabolic arcs of comets drawn inward from the Oort cloud, Atlas's motion bore no trace of solar system origin. Its speed, its angle of approach, and its departure vector all pointed outward, into the deep stellar background. Yet some calculations hinted at subtle gravitational encounters, minor deflections that might have altered its course long before it entered human notice. A faint brush with Jupiter's immense field, a possible distant pass near Saturn. These were whispers in the data, signals almost too fragile to trust. The anomalies deepened rather than clarified the picture. If Atlas had fragmented, why had the event been so uneven? If it was truly comet-like, why was its outgassing so faint compared to Borisov? If it had wandered for eons between the stars, what forces had held it together long enough to arrive, only for it to weaken so dramatically upon entering the solar system? The astronomers were left with questions that pressed against the boundary of knowledge. Was Atlas a fragile relic of planetary formation? A shard of ice and dust cast out from a distant star billions of years ago? Or was it something stranger, shaped by conditions not yet imagined, carrying within it the unspoken story of another system's birth and decay? The investigation stretched across continents. Observatories in Hawaii, Chile, Spain, and beyond contributed their fragments of data, each telescope adding a pixel to the larger image. But the picture that emerged was never sharp. Atlas shimmered at the threshold of visibility, a cosmic secret glimpsed and then withdrawn. The deeper astronomers looked, the more its strangeness grew. In the end, the pursuit of Three-Eye Atlas was as much about limits as about discovery. The limits of instrumentation, the limits of time, the limits of certainty when confronted with the briefest of apparitions. Yet within those limits lay the profound weight of encounter, the knowledge that across the gulf between stars, matter travels carrying with it the signature of alien origins. The anomalies remained unresolved. The flicker of its brightness, the weakness of its cometary activity, the whisper of gravitational echoes, each hinted at layers of meaning hidden beyond reach. And in those mysteries, astronomers found themselves staring not only at an object but at the larger enigma of interstellar space itself, a darkness that does not only conceal but delivers, a silence that is interrupted only when fragments like Atlas appear, as if the galaxy itself is sending reminders that the solar system is not alone. And when Three-Eye Atlas finally faded into invisibility, the investigations did not end. They shifted inward, into the reflections of those who had witnessed it, what had truly been seen, what had been missed, and most of all, what it meant that in so short a span of years the universe had sent three such messengers, each carrying a question larger than the data could answer. When Oumuamua was first identified in 2017, its strangeness lingered like an unanswered question. Its elongated form, its unexplained acceleration, its silence where cometary tails should have been. Each detail unsettled the models that science had long trusted. 2 years later, when Borisov arrived, its comet-like behavior seemed to restore balance. A true interstellar traveler, breathing gas and dust in ways astronomers understood, reminding humanity that even strangeness could be familiar if given context. But with Atlas came something different, something that unsettled not because it was unknowable, but because it seemed too fragile to belong anywhere at all. Even as telescopes tracked its fading light, astronomers noticed inconsistencies. Its brightness fluctuated in ways that resisted explanation. Some nights it appeared to flare, glowing briefly stronger as though shedding fragments into space. Other nights it dimmed so abruptly that it suggested structural collapse. For a time, it was thought that Atlas might not survive long enough to leave the solar system intact. It seemed as though it were unraveling, breaking apart before it had truly passed through, as if its purpose was not endurance but dissolution. Oumuamua had been enigmatic, Borisov familiar. Atlas was neither. It was brittle, fleeting, ephemeral, a messenger that crumbled even as it delivered its message. To astronomers, it raised a haunting idea. What if some fragments of other star systems do not arrive as whole emissaries, but as ghosts, remnants already too damaged to persist? What if these objects are not built to last, but built only to appear briefly, then vanish? The sequence of appearances added to the unease. In the long arc of history, humanity had never confirmed a single interstellar object. The sky had remained loyal to its familiar bodies, asteroids, comets, planets, all children of the sun. Yet in the span of just 3 years, 3 separate fragments had crossed into view. Oumuamua in 2017, Borisov in 2019, Atlas in 2020. The statistical improbability was staggering. Models of galactic debris had predicted such encounters might occur only once in a century, or even once in a millennium, yet here they were arriving almost as if in sequence. Chance alone seemed too thin a thread to explain it. Scientists debated, was the galaxy richer in wandering debris than previously thought? Were planetary systems casting out fragments in such abundance that encounters with Earth were inevitable? Or had humanity simply reached a new threshold of observation, with survey telescopes like Pan-STARRS and Atlas finally watching with enough vigilance to notice what had always been there? Each explanation carried weight, but none erased the unease. The timing felt uncanny. The pattern of arrivals felt deliberate, a whisper of rhythm beneath the chaos of the cosmos. Philosophers once asked whether the act of observation could summon phenomena into being. The quantum world had long hinted at this paradox, particles shifting behavior when measured, reality itself folding differently under the gaze of awareness. Now astronomers found themselves facing a similar question on the grandest of scales. Had humanity's act of watching the sky, of searching with unprecedented precision, called these objects into view? Was the universe answering curiosity with presence? The fragility of Atlas sharpened this tension. It had not behaved like a robust traveler hardened by eons of interstellar drift. Instead, it seemed to arrive already weakened, a brittle shell unraveling as it passed. If it had traveled for millions of years between stars, how had it survived the void at all? If it had not, then what had shaped it? Did it represent a class of debris so delicate that only now, by chance, had one been caught in the act of disintegration? Or was there something intentional in its fleetingness, as though its role was never to remain, but to appear, remind, and disappear? To those who studied it, Atlas carried the unsettling aura of impermanence. Oumuamua had left mystery in its wake. Borisov had offered familiarity. Atlas delivered fragility, a message not of permanence but of transience. And in that transience lay something deeply human. For across cultures and centuries, omens and portents had often come not in enduring forms but in fleeting signs. A comet in the night, a meteor across the sky, a sudden flare of light where darkness once reigned. In its disintegration, Atlas embodied this ancient rhythm. It arrived, it wavered, it faded, a messenger that was never meant to stay. Among astronomers, the conversations carried both precision and wonder. Papers detailed orbital mechanics, velocity measurements, and brightness curves. Yet beneath the technical language, the emotional current was undeniable. A sense of awe at the speed with which interstellar astronomy had evolved. A sense of disbelief that 3 such objects had appeared in so short a time. And a quiet fear, not of impact or destruction but of implication. For the pattern suggested something larger. If 3 had come in 3 years, how many more wandered unseen? If each was a fragment of another star system, then the galaxy was not a distant abstraction but a neighbor, pressing itself into Earth's skies with tangible reminders. Each fragment was a relic, a shard of planetary birth and death in another sun's domain. To encounter them was to touch, however briefly, the debris of alien worlds, and so the question grew heavier. Why here? Why now? Coincidence was the simplest answer, and science is trained to honor simplicity. Yet coincidence carries no comfort. For the human mind, patterns are irresistible. 3 arrivals in 3 years felt like a sequence, a signal, a drumbeat from the galaxy itself. Even if it was only statistics, the appearance of pattern changed the way it was felt. In the halls of observatories, in late-night discussions among research teams, speculation lingered. What if the solar system was passing through a denser stream of galactic debris? What if Earth, by chance, had moved into a corridor where fragments from distant planetary systems drifted more freely? Or what if something stranger still was unfolding? A hidden rhythm of the galaxy, an unseen pulse that cast out fragments like echoes across time. Each explanation, scientific or speculative, pointed toward the same emotional truth. The universe no longer felt distant. It felt responsive, not alive in the way of human thought, but alive in the way of rhythm, pattern, and presence. Atlas deepened the mystery by refusing to endure. It crumbled, it flickered, it fled, yet in that fragility, it left behind something more potent than data. It left a sense of escalation. The mystery had grown not smaller but larger. Each visitor raised new questions, each one dissolving certainty instead of building it. Humanity was left with a haunting impression. Perhaps these were not accidents, not random fragments stumbling through the void. Perhaps they were reminders that the galaxy is not silent, that other worlds have histories which do not end within themselves, that across the distance of light years, debris still finds its way into the sky of a small blue planet circling a modest star. And as 3i Atlas slipped into invisibility, the question it left behind was sharper than ever. Was this coincidence, or was the universe answering back? The faint light of 3i Atlas slipped beyond detection, but what lingered was not its glow. What remained was the need to explain. In the halls of observatories and in the quiet corners of research papers, theories gathered like constellations. Some were grounded, others ventured into realms of speculation. Yet all circled the same gravitational pull, the mystery of interstellar messengers. The most natural explanation was also the most ancient. Planetary systems are messy in their birth. When stars ignite, their surrounding disks of gas and dust collapse into planets, moons, and comets. But not everything finds a stable orbit. Gravitational encounters scatter vast amounts of debris outward, casting shards into the void between stars. Over millions of years, these fragments drift freely, becoming interstellar nomads. From this perspective, Atlas, Borisov, and Oumuamua were nothing more than the inevitable products of planetary chaos. Relics of distant star nurseries crossing the galaxy in silence until, by chance, they wandered into the reach of the sun. This view offered comfort. It meant there was no pattern, no message, no design, merely the natural scattering of matter across time. And yet comfort is rarely the end of inquiry, for even within this framework, questions deepened. If such debris is truly common, why had none been seen before 2017? Why would 3 arrive in such close succession? Here the second theory emerged. Cosmic traffic had always been present. Humanity simply lacked the instruments to perceive it. For most of history, the sky was observed with narrow eyes. Telescopes watched in small slices. Surveys were limited and faint wanderers slipped unseen across the darkness. Only recently had technology grown vigilant enough to scan wide fields night after night, to automate the search with algorithms that could notice faint moving points that human vision would miss. Perhaps the galaxy had always delivered such fragments, and only now had humanity built the tools to see the river of debris flowing past. This explanation carried weight. The Pan-star system that first identified Oumuamua and the Atlas survey that gave its name to 3i were new instruments of extraordinary reach. Their relentless watch could transform the rare into the routine. If so, then interstellar objects were not special arrivals but commonplace travelers. Each one, however fleeting, was a piece of evidence that planetary systems across the galaxy had histories of violence and scattering much like our own. But explanations that rely on scale and chance are never the only voices in the room. Alongside the sober voices of natural origin, speculative theories began to take shape. Oumuamua had already opened the door. Its elongated form, its unexplained acceleration, its silence where outgassing should have been. These anomalies fueled whispers that it might not be natural at all. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb famously suggested it could be alien debris, perhaps even a probe, a relic of an ancient technology. His argument was not that it must be artificial, but that the anomalies deserved serious consideration. Science thrives on doubt, and in doubt, speculation finds foothold. When Atlas appeared, its fragility only added fuel. Some wondered if such objects could be the discarded fragments of civilizations long vanished, their relics adrift across interstellar space. Others entertained the notion of directed panspermia, the hypothesis that life could be intentionally seeded across the galaxy by scattering icy bodies carrying microbial potential. In this frame, Atlas was not just debris but a vessel, fragile because its purpose was not survival but delivery. These ideas remained on the edges of consensus, yet their presence mattered. They revealed the hunger for meaning that accompanies every astronomical discovery. For every calculation of orbital mechanics, there is the human need to ask, why? Beyond physical speculation, stranger theories arose at the intersection of science and philosophy. Some questioned whether the timing itself was significant. 3 interstellar objects in 3 years, just as humanity reached a new threshold of vigilance. Was this merely coincidence, or did observation itself carry weight? Quantum mechanics had long unsettled the idea of passive observation. In the microscopic world, particles behave differently when measured, collapsing waves of probability into concrete outcomes. Could there be an echo of this principle at the cosmic scale? Could humanity's act of watching, of searching the skies with unprecedented intensity, align with the universe in ways that summoned phenomena into view? This speculation carried no equations, no testable framework, yet it carried weight in its metaphor. It asked whether the universe is a passive backdrop or a responsive partner in the act of discovery. Each interstellar object, fleeting and improbable, seemed almost like an answer to a question humanity had not spoken aloud. Each theory, natural or speculative, reshaped the way the universe was understood. If Atlas was merely planetary debris, then the galaxy is alive with fragments of birth and destruction, and the solar system is one among billions in a restless sea. If such encounters are common, then humanity is only now awakening to the true density of cosmic traffic, and the night sky is more alive than ever imagined. If, however, these fragments are relics of civilizations or vessels of life, then humanity is not alone, not even in its material history. It becomes part of a greater story, one where matter carries intention across the gulf of stars. And if observation itself plays a role, if discovery is in some sense a dialogue, then humanity stands not at the edge of a silent void, but at the threshold of a responsive universe, a universe that does not merely exist, but listens. These theories coexist uneasily, each with its champions, each with its shadows, yet together they reveal the depth of the mystery. Atlas did not leave behind answers. It left possibilities. In the end, the theories may converge. Perhaps Atlas was natural debris, yet its timing coincided with human readiness to notice. Perhaps panspermia is not design but a byproduct of natural scattering, life hitchhiking across eons of stellar exile. Perhaps observation does not summon but synchronizes, aligning awareness with events that were always destined to occur. What is certain is that the presence of 3i Atlas, fragile and fleeting, expanded the horizon of human thought. It reminded astronomers that discovery is never only about data. It is also about wonder. That wonder in turn gives rise to speculation. And speculation, though often unproven, is the seed of new inquiry. Theories are not answers. They are invitations. Each one reframes the sky, reshaping the way humanity imagines its place within it. Whether Atlas was debris, vessel, relic, or omen, it carried with it the same truth, that the solar system is not isolated, that the galaxy is restless, that the universe may be stranger, more interconnected, and perhaps more responsive than ever believed. And so the speculation continues, not in hope of closure, but in recognition that mystery itself is the fuel of science. For with each fragment that enters the sky, the boundary between the known and the unknown is redrawn, and in that redrawing, humanity is reminded that it does not merely observe the cosmos, it participates in it. The mystery of 3i Atlas, and of the interstellar visitors before it, left astronomers with more than questions. It left them with urgency, for if the galaxy had begun to send its fragments into the solar system, then the task was clear. Humanity must be ready not only to watch them pass, but to capture every detail of their fleeting presence before they vanish back into the abyss. The tools for this work are no longer the fragile telescopes of centuries past. They are vast automated eyes that never close. On the high volcanic slopes of Hawaii, the twin domes of Pan-stars sweep the heavens with relentless precision. Their task is simple in definition, yet immense in scope: to map the sky night after night, searching for the faint traces of motion against the static background of stars. It was Pan-stars that first detected Oumuamua, a faint streak in October of 2017. Without it, the first messenger might have passed unseen, another whisper lost to silence. Atlas itself was revealed by another Hawaiian system, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. Its name speaks of defense, of vigilance against rocks that might one day threaten Earth. Yet its reach extended beyond that mission, catching sight of a fragment that belonged not to Earth's neighborhood, but to the galaxy at large. Atlas was not an enemy, but it was a reminder that the sky cannot be fully predicted, and that the solar system is not a closed system. These instruments are powerful, but they are only the beginning. In the deserts of northern Chile, a telescope is rising that will transform the very act of skywatching. The Vera C. Rubin Observatory, once called LSST, the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope, will not simply scan. It will film. With an 8.4-meter mirror and a camera the size of a small car, it will capture the entire visible sky every few nights, building a living archive of change. Every transient event, every wandering rock, every new messenger from interstellar space will be swept into its gaze. For the first time in history, the dynamic sky will be mapped in full. If Oumuamua and Atlas were the first sparks, Rubin may catch the fire. Statistically, more interstellar objects will come. The observatory is expected to find dozens, perhaps hundreds within its first decade. No longer will each visitor be a singular anomaly. They will become a population, a catalog, a data set from which patterns may finally be drawn, and in those patterns may lie the truth of their origins. Yet ground-based eyes can only see so much. To peer deeper, astronomers turn to space itself. The James Webb Space Telescope, though built to study galaxies at the edge of time and the atmospheres of exoplanets, has already turned its golden mirror towards small wanderers. With its unmatched sensitivity in the infrared, it can detect the chemical breath of comets and the faint warmth of icy bodies at distances where other telescopes see only shadows. Should another interstellar traveler arrive, Webb could reveal its fingerprints in detail, the ratios of water to carbon dioxide, the spectral lines of organic molecules, the subtle features that distinguish natural cometary ices from something stranger. Europe, too, has prepared a sentinel. ESA's Comet Interceptor, scheduled to launch later this decade, is not aimed at a known target. Instead, it waits. It will journey to a stable orbit, a cosmic outpost until a suitable visitor, perhaps a pristine comet from the outer solar system, or perhaps another interstellar fragment, appears. Then with speed and precision it will be dispatched to intercept. Its instruments will fly close, capturing images, spectra, and the physical environment of the traveler. For the first time, humanity will not only watch a messenger pass from afar, it will meet it face to face. This vision, once the dream of science fiction, is now part of scientific planning. Studies at NASA and ESA have explored missions that could launch on short notice, chasing an interstellar object once detected. Proposals like the Project Lyra concept have imagined spacecraft accelerated by solar sails or gravitational assists, reaching speeds great enough to pursue even the swiftest of visitors. Though such missions remain aspirational, they mark a turning point. Humanity no longer asks only how to observe, it asks how to engage. The preparation extends beyond instruments and spacecraft. In the invisible realm of supercomputers, simulations unfold the story of how such fragments come to exist. Galactic dynamics reveal that planetary systems are not static. As giant planets migrate, as stars pass near one another, as gravitational tides ripple across systems, debris is scattered outward. Some of it falls inward, striking planets or melting into stars. Some of it escapes entirely, cast onto trajectories that carry it into interstellar exile. Over millions, even billions of years, these fragments drift like seeds, waiting for chance to deliver them to new skies. In these simulations, Atlas and its predecessors are not anomalies but inevitabilities. Every planetary system may shed countless shards into the galaxy. The solar system itself is no exception. It has likely cast out trillions of icy bodies across its history, now wandering between the stars, perhaps one day to cross into alien skies. In this way, each interstellar object is both foreign and familiar. Foreign in origin, yet familiar in its story. A story that the solar system itself has been writing since its birth. Still, astronomers look for more than trajectories. They look for signatures, Within the chemical spectra of these travelers may lie the difference between natural and artificial. The ratios of isotopes, the presence of rare compounds, or the absence of expected volatiles, all could hint at origins that are not merely geological. Oumuamua, with its strange acceleration and lack of a visible tail, left this question unsettled. Borisov, with its clear cometary outgassing, seemed purely natural. Atlas, fragile and inconsistent, left no firm conclusion. Each object becomes a test of humanity's ability to discern not only what is, but what might be, and so the search continues, with eyes on the ground and mirrors in space, with missions waiting in orbit and theories running in code. The next messenger may arrive tomorrow or centuries from now. It may resemble a comet, bright with sublimating ice. It may resemble a rock, silent and inert. Or it may resemble nothing humanity has yet imagined. The preparation itself is profound. It marks the shift from passive observation to active readiness. For the first time in history, humanity is not merely gazing upward in wonder. It is preparing for encounter. Preparing not in the language of myth, but in the language of instruments, spectra, trajectories, and probes. Yet beneath the science, the wonder remains. To intercept an interstellar traveler is to meet matter born of another sun, to touch the debris of alien worlds. It is to hold for a brief moment a fragment of the galaxy in human hands. The arsenal of discovery grows, not only because science demands it, but because curiosity compels it. Atlas may have crumbled, Oumuamua may have fled, Borisov may have dissolved into its tail, but their presence has rewritten the urgency of astronomy. They are no longer isolated anomalies. They are harbingers of a future in which interstellar objects are expected, tracked, intercepted, and studied with the same rigor once reserved for the planets and moons of our own system. The mystery deepens, but so does the capacity to meet it. Humanity now stands with tools in place, waiting for the next shard of the galaxy to enter the sky. And when it does, the hope is not only to measure it, but to understand it, to see in its light the story of its origin, to search in its spectra for the fingerprints of intention, to ask with greater clarity than ever before, whether the universe sends only fragments of stone and ice, or whether, hidden among them, might be something more. The numbers were written with precision, velocities traced in kilometers per second, trajectories mapped with hyperbolic curves, spectra catalogued with their wavelengths of light. Yet when the fragments of Oumuamua, Borisov, and Atlas passed through the solar system, what they left behind was not certainty but ambiguity. The closer astronomers studied, the more the mystery grew. Science thrives on clarity, but the universe has never promised it. The universe offers questions disguised as answers, riddles concealed within data. Oumuamua accelerated without a tail, defying models. Borisov behaved like a comet, yet its interstellar speed made it alien all the same. Atlas flickered, fragile and uncertain, dissolving before it could tell its full story. Each messenger revealed enough to ignite understanding, yet withheld enough to deepen the unknown. For humanity, this paradox is familiar. The closer the eye peers into the fabric of reality, the stranger it becomes. Quantum mechanics revealed particles that exist in many states until observed. Cosmology revealed a universe expanding faster than gravity should allow, driven by a force called dark energy that remains unmeasured, unnamed. The search for understanding leads not to finality, but to deeper layers of mystery. Atlas belongs to this lineage. It is a reminder that discovery is not an endpoint. It is a threshold, and so reflection begins. What does it mean for 3 interstellar messengers to appear in such quick succession? Are they chance, statistical inevitabilities that only now fall within the reach of our instruments? Or are they signs not in the mystical sense of destiny, but in the deeper resonance of pattern? For the human mind is drawn to pattern. When coincidence repeats, it feels like intention. When silence breaks 3 times in 3 years, it feels like response. Perhaps these visitors are mirrors, not mirrors of light, but mirrors of longing. For centuries, humanity has gazed upward not only to measure, but to dream. In the red glow of Mars, people saw omens of war, fate, and survival. In comets, they saw harbingers of change, disaster, or renewal. The night sky has always reflected not only stars, but the inner landscape of the human mind. Now, in the age of telescopes and simulations, the questions have not vanished. They have transformed. Instead of omens, we ask about origins. Instead of fate, we ask about physics. Instead of gods, we ask about galaxies. Yet the longing remains the same, to know if we are alone, to know if the universe is aware of our presence. to know if meaning exists beyond survival. Oumuamua raised the possibility of intention. Borisov reassured with the familiarity of ice and gas. Atlas unsettled with its fragility. Each left behind an emotional imprint as much as a scientific one. Together they remind humanity that the pursuit of knowledge is also the pursuit of self. For in asking what these fragments are, we are also asking what we are. The paradox sharpens. The closer we study, the less certain we become. Instruments grow stronger, yet answers remain elusive. With every new fragment, the line between chance and meaning blurs. Is the universe random, indifferent to our existence, scattering debris without thought or rhythm? Or does it move with a hidden order, a rhythm we have only begun to sense? Here speculation meets philosophy. What if Atlas was not summoned by gravity alone? What if, in some way beyond current understanding, the act of watching aligned with the act of arrival? What if the resonance between mind and cosmos is not metaphor but structure? Observation does not only collapse quantum states, it may also align awareness with phenomena that were always there, waiting to be seen. In this reflection, Atlas becomes more than ice and dust. It becomes a question, a fragment of the galaxy that drifts into our sky not to provide certainty, but to ask if certainty is the wrong pursuit. Perhaps the universe is not a riddle to be solved, but a dialogue to be entered, a conversation carried out not in words, but in fragments of matter, flashes of light, and the silence between stars. And beneath that silence lies Earth, a fragile sphere turning slowly under the gaze of its own red planet. Mars glowing faintly against the night. Mars, the world of myth and omen, the mirror of human destiny, watches as interstellar fragments slip by, its deserts whisper of survival, its canyons echo with the possibility of future footsteps. Beside it, drifting in silence, shards of alien worlds remind us that we are part of something larger. In the grand sweep of the galaxy, Earth is a point of dust. Its people are brief, its civilizations fragile, its questions unfinished. Yet it watches, it measures, it wonders, and in that act it participates in the rhythm of the cosmos. The universe has not answered. It may never answer. But in the appearance of interstellar messengers, it has given something else. Reminders that questions remain. Reminders that the sky is not closed. Reminders that silence is not emptiness but possibility. And so the closing image is not resolution but waiting. Earth beneath the stars, Mars glowing red on the horizon, the faint drift of interstellar fragments across the dark, a small planet fragile yet unyielding, holding within it the one force that transforms silence into meaning, the force of a mind that dares to ask. The universe remains unanswered. Yet it is full of questions waiting to be spoken,